even the other day, Oz says to me on a call, remember I call you and then you said, Daddy's on the phone. And then he said to me, Dad, are you okay? Are you comfortable?
Yeah, how was work? Are you comfortable?
How was work? Are you comfortable? And I was like, yo, listen to my little 4-year-old.
So I'm actually going to look up what resilience means because I think that's a good place to start. Okay, so it says the capacity to withstand or recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. And I think that's a good way to describe resilience. But then how does that relate to building resilience in children? It's such a tricky thing because it's not necessarily about toughening them up, but it's like how to deal with the tough things that happen.
Well, I think probably one of the biggest things is just communication, right? Allowing them to communicate without being judged and, you know, just being emotionally aware as parents to understand that they have their opinions too and that they will carry that with them throughout life. You know?
I feel like growing up in Jamaica, though, that's such a tricky thing because, like, we grew up in that whole culture of children are to be seen and not heard. And, you know, oftentimes when we talk about, like, you know, how we are choosing to parent in certain moments, I feel like even sometimes people are critical of that. Like, they think, oh, you're being too soft, or children, you know, children these days have rights. And, you know, and I think that's sometimes something that is so misunderstood. And I think that's something we've had to relearn is this idea that we're raising little people. I think we should also say we are not perfect parents.
Is there such a thing? But is there such a thing as the perfect parent?
No, but I feel like we also deal a lot with that pressure of people looking at us because of what we do and because we have so many children. And we have we also have a blended family. I think people put that on us, and I just want to say that that's not who we are either.
Yeah, because in a sense, I'm a novice at being a parent because I have 5 kids, so I should be very experienced.
You should be.
It's my first time parenting an 18-year-old.
Yes.
I'm fresh with that.
Yes.
I'm learning on the job with that, you know? So it's still learning. It's still a process, right? It's still a process as parents, and we're not claiming to be perfect.
Yeah,
we're learning as we go, and the more we discuss these things, the more we can analyze and reflect and say, okay, I think we've been doing a good job at that, or
we're
we
not
probably
being
need
so
to
good at that.
Exactly. So I think it's a good look.
Agreed. And funny you should say that. Like we say it's our first time. Like we actually said those words to Gio, who is 18, the other day. Like, we have never raised a teenager before. Stay with us. Yeah. And I think that's something that's really great about how we are trying to parent, is that we are involving even our children in the process. And it means that we fail sometimes miserably, and it means that sometimes we don't. So a big part of parenting for us is being able to model. You know, we learned very quickly that what we said wasn't nearly as important as what we did. And, you know, one of the hardest things I think that's there to model is how to deal with tough situations. But, you know, with the different age groups, it can look a bit different. So like the other day, Atlas, he was having a hard time with opening something. And I know you might not think of like this as building resilience, but in that moment, I remember just, first of all, my initial reaction was, Jesus and peas, man, just turn to something, it's all right. Just stop acting that way is my initial response. That's my default response. You know, just take it and handle it.
Because he was getting frustrated.
He's getting frustrated, and he's getting me frustrated because I'm like, just open it. And I keep trying to remember this idea of just like taking a breath and taking a minute. And it's obviously easier on days that feel easier. But I was able to then say, all right, let me actually pretend to not be able to open this too. Because I feel like if I can show him what I would do with that emotion might help him to A, feel seen and heard, but B, maybe give him some ways to move through it. So I took it and I was like, oh man, that is really hard to open. How come it's not opening? All right, let me take a breath and let me try again. and let me see if I can ask somebody for help, and if I can't do it. Just even saying that, and he's watching me, and then we get through it, and I'm like, all right, great, I got it open. Wow, it wasn't as hard as I thought, and now it's open. Something as simple as modeling a tough situation back, whatever it might be. For my 6-year-old, almost 7-year-old, it was opening a snack.
Yeah.
But then for our 10-year-old, you remember when Jax came to us the other day from school and he said some kids were saying something to him that was mean or calling him a name. Mm-hmm. And you looked at him and said, man, that's tough when people do that. But what do you think? What do you think about that? Is that the truth about you, from your perspective? And he could have a moment to then process that.
Yeah, because you have to teach them to believe in their outlook on something while understanding that everybody will have their perspective and opinion on things. Yeah, that's important for kids to know from very early, because that would be something that they'll have to deal with throughout life. And then it's important for like conflict resolution too, to observe somebody's opinion and understand, okay, that's their idea on this, but my idea is this, and we can talk about this without having to fight or kick or spit or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's an important part of resilience for sure. That
confidence as well, and being able to experience your emotions and all of them, which, like I said, is easier said than done, because the thing is that, when we are the adults who are trying to raise children, we sometimes have to do things that we didn't get. We sometimes have to be patient in times when our parents didn't show that patience. Show love when our parents didn't. And that's a difficult thing to do or be something that you've never seen.
Breaking generational trauma.
Oh, Wayne, big T, trauma.
Well,
it's true. It's true, but we do that from having discussions, from talking to other parents, from listening to podcasts, from speaking to professionals, from watching shows. Like, that's where we have to learn. And in some strange way, we say this all the time, we're reparenting ourselves through parenting now our children, and we're seeing our own
that's
flaws.
a way to put it.
And it's tough. It really shows you yourself, and it can lead to a lot of guilt and stress as well, You
know what is important as parents as well is actively listening to your children, no matter the age or stage, because sometimes I find myself zoning out and them saying things, and even you saying, Wayne, listen, Ivy's calling you or whatever. And when you actually tune into them, you realize that they're actually hitting developmental milestones right in front of your eyes, because they're saying things in a way where they've never put it that way before. So it's good to like actively keep them in focus and keep eye contact. Stay engaged, understand what they're saying, react to what they're saying. That is an important thing, because they now feel like I am heard and my opinion is, and I'm, like even the other day, Oz says to me on a call, remember I called you and then you said, Daddy's on the phone. And then he said to me, Dad, are you okay? Are you comfortable?
How was work? Are you comfortable?
How was work? Are you comfortable? And I was like, yo, listen to my little 4-year-old tuning into his like emotional side and understanding that I have my things dealing with, and he's understanding that as a kid, and that was important for me to notice.
And I think what's nice too is like, if you want to know how you're doing sometimes as a parent, like look at how your kids talk to each other or talk to their peers, or how they interact, so even like the other day I heard Atlas saying something to Oz. He had done something and he was getting frustrated, and Atlas could say, it's okay, Oz, just try again, just pick it up, just try again. No, it doesn't always go that way. Some days is, get the thing up off of the ground, it's wild, but there are those moments where, where we say a win is a win, where our kids will even come to us and be like, are you okay, Mom? Or, how are you feeling about XYZ? And it's a direct reflection of what they're getting.
Absolutely.
And those are the moments where you're like, we're doing it. And not always, we're not.
So if we were to pull this conversation all together, I would say what stands out to me is active listening. Like definitely paying attention to what your kids are saying. When you listen, it teaches them to learn how to listen to as well.
And I think also then, trying to model how you react in a difficult situation. Sometimes we don't display that. Sometimes we don't show them how to be in a difficult situation, how we'd react, how we'd respond. I think that then gives them the confidence to go and do that in the rest of the world when they are met with tough things.
Yeah, so leading by example as
yeah.
opposed to opinion.
There you go. Oh, sure. He's an expert.
Calm down now. I listen to your podcast them too.